When you're standing on a ridge watching a hawk wheel overhead, or you're trying to spot a distant deer before the sun dips, the line between good enough and amazing can feel razor thin. That's why I wanted to spend some time breaking down the Vortex Razor HD spotting scope before you decide whether it belongs on your gear list. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. My goal here isn't to hype a brand, it's to help you figure out if the real-world performance and price line up with what you actually need in the field. First off, let's talk about the core problem many buyers face. They want crisp, high-magnification views, but they're also juggling weight, durability, and the inevitable compromise of a narrow field of view at the top end. The Razor HD lands squarely in the high-magnification camp with a 22-48 zoom and a 65mm objective, which already tells you it's built for distance. That's great for birders who need to see a raptor's feather pattern from a mile away, but it also means the scope itself isn't something you'll want to lug around on a day hike without a sturdy tripod. If you're used to handheld binoculars and think a spotting scope will be a plug-and-play upgrade, you might be in for a surprise. So who actually benefits from this piece of glass? The sweet spot is anyone who spends a lot of time stationary, whether that's a dedicated birdwatcher set up near a waterfowl hide, a hunter who stakes a blind for a full day, or an amateur astronomer who wants a portable window to the night sky. The Razor HD's triplet apochromatic lens paired with high-density extra-low dispersion glass does a remarkable job of keeping chromatic aberration at bay. In practice, that means the reds, greens, and blues stay in perfect alignment even at the maximum 48. I've seen footage of a red-tailed hawk's eye at that magnification and the image stayed razor-sharp, without the color fringing you sometimes get with cheaper scopes. Another practical strength is the smooth helical focus style. In the field, you often have to make fine adjustments while the wind is shaking the tripod. The Razor's dial moves predictably, and because it's designed to stay trim, you don't end up with a wobbling barrel that throws off your focus after a few turns. That translates directly into less time hunting for focus and more time actually watching whatever you're after. Durability is a frequent deal-breaker for outdoor gear, and Vortex leans heavily into that with an O-ring-sealed, argon-perched interior. What that means for you is a scope that can survive a sudden rainstorm, a splash from a nearby creek, or the occasional fog roll that would otherwise fog up cheaper optics. I tested it on a misty morning in the mountains. The view stayed clear, no condensation on the lenses, even after the temperature swung by 20 degrees. That level of weatherproofing gives you confidence to leave the scope out longer, which can be a real money saver if you're paying a premium price. Speaking of price, the Razor HD isn't cheap. You're looking at a high-end product, and the cost reflects the optical glass and the warranty. Vortex backs it with an unlimited, unconditional lifetime VIP warranty that transfers to a new owner. In the long run, that can be worth a few $100s if you ever need a repair, but only if you intend to keep the scope for years. If you're a casual user who only goes out a few times a season, that warranty might feel like overkill compared to a lower-priced model that still gets the job done. Now, let's be honest about the trade-offs. The 65mm objective gives you a decent amount of light gathering, but at 48 the exit pupil drops down to around 1.35mm, which can feel a bit dark in low-light conditions like dawn or dusk. If you plan to hunt in deep shade or do a lot of evening birding, you might find the image a little dim compared to a scope with a larger objective. Also, the high magnification range comes with a narrower field of view at the top end, something you'll notice when tracking fast-moving game. You have to be more precise with your aim, and that can be frustrating if you're used to the broader panorama of a 20 scope. Weight is another practical consideration. The Razor HD tips the scales at just over 3 pounds, which is light for a scope of this class, but it's still a noticeable load on a handheld tripod or a small travel case. If you're backpacking and want to keep the pack weight down, you might have to choose between this level of optical performance and a lighter, less powerful option. Putting it all together, here's a quick decision matrix. If you spend many hours at a fixed location, need top-tier image fidelity, and can afford a solid tripod, the Razor HD is a compelling choice. It shines in scenarios where you need to resolve fine details, identifying a bird's plumage, reading a target size at range, or scanning the night sky for planets.